Hey everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode in the series Dionne Warwick, the Arista Years. And today we are continuing this amazing collection of albums with How Many Times Can We Say Goodbye, or also known as HMTCWSG. And it's also, I am having the time of my life cosplaying all the Dionne Warwick album covers, because Dionne Warwick and I have the same taste, but we don't have the same budget, because Dionne wears real stuff. This is one of my favorite albums. It came out in 1983. It's the year that I arrived in Paris. So this was the first Dionne Warwick album that I bought in Paris. And Paris at the time was things were much more difficult to find in terms of anything that was international, and so you had to go to specialty stores to find the American records. It wasn't just as easy to get as today with Amazon and all that. So when I saw How Many Times Can We Say Goodbye in a record store, I went crazy, because that album cover is absolutely stunning. Very funny thing, before I forget, the art director in all of the albums on Arista is called Dawn Davenport. Now Dawn Donn, so it sounds like Dawn Dawn Davenport, which is the divine character in Female Trouble. But what's really funny is I landed on something while I was doing my research, is that in the movie Clueless, the girl who was called Dionne, there was a Dionne and a Cher, her name was Dionne Davenport. I don't know if they did it on purpose or if they just found it when they looked on the records and they thought that was a good name. But it's so funny how things just always intertwine. And when you search for these albums and you find all of these details. Now let's get right into this amazing album produced by the amazing Luther Vandross. He had done Jump to It for Aretha Franklin, which was a huge hit. So the Arista wanted to reproduce this kind of magic, and they certainly did, because Dionne and Luther Vandross are not only good friends, and they have worked together and sung together. They've done concerts along with Miss Gladys Knight, but their voices together are just pure magic. So the album begins with a very upbeat song, which is Got a Date. It sounds a little bit, tell me in the comments if you understand what I say. Sometimes I just go into it, it's just the way I hear it, but it sounds a little bit like Ghostbusters, with that kind of guitar, which is a little bit muffled. And so of course it's disco, but this is post-disco. This is the 80s, so it's a lot of synthesizers, and everything has to sound rock. Anything that was disco had to go. That we had gone through the death to disco and all of that these horrible times where people were being so violent against disco music, but they really meant something else. The disco was music for other people like me. And so Got a Date, nevertheless, is this very up-tempo dance number, and it was in the critics considered as they said sometimes disposable, not something that should have been in the album. I don't quite agree, because first of all, Dionne Warwick sings it amazingly, and also as you continue into the progression of this album, you will realize that she is talking a lot about missed love, about relationships that just cannot work. How many times can we say goodbye? It's just, I'll go into it when I talk about the song, but many of these songs are about love relationships that went wrong. So Got a Date is the beginning. That's why it's so up-tempo and upbeat, and Dionne sounds like a schoolgirl. I met a boy last night, hotter than any other, and it's just the expectation before the fall. We've all known that. So I loved when I listened to that album for the very first time. I remember thinking, oh my God, like Dionne, she's doing dance, and I was a kid. I was 18 years old at the time. So funny because I'm only 26. I don't know how this goes. Anyway, Got a Date, which is a song which is not Dionne style, but it suits her beautifully. And her voice, you know, when she goes, oh, you know, I mean, she has the voice for everything. Then So Amazing, which is written by Luther Vandross, but this was the first time it was ever sung. Luther Vandross sang it afterwards. And here you have the magic of the writing, of this soulful music, the voice of Dionne, which is just incomparable because she can be so delicate and yet so poignant and, you know, so amazing. I've been waiting for a love like this. And so here you really hear a song about a woman who is madly in love. Everything is perfect, everything is magnificent, and it is just really the essence of this album, if you take away the two dance numbers. And the second one is the follow-up, which is I do it cause I like it. Boy, do I love that kind of phrase. I do it because I like it. And here the words are more appropriate to Dionne Warwick's age and style and whatever. I mean, you Got a Date, she sings it, it's very cute, but you don't really think of Dionne Warwick being excited about a date. But I Do It Because I Like It is really something of a independent woman who's just living her life. You know, Diana Ross could have sung that song. I would have loved for Diana Ross to sing that song. And then the title track, How Many Times Can We Say Goodbye? And how many times am I going to say this is just magic. Now, Luther Vandross's voice is slightly higher than Dionne's when you hear them, and so they combine so beautifully together, and there is no competition, and of course many singers sing together and they don't compete, but you hear it. They try and be as good as possible or better or louder or whatever. Here they're just, it's a couple talking, and when you have Dionne who says we're so in love but wrong for each other, and each hurt that heals brings on one another, she tears into your heart like a cat that's clawing. It's just so incredible because she sings it with such delicate tones, and it's almost, you know, it's just she takes a step back, and all of that pain, you just feel it from someone who's reflecting, and it's just absolutely magnificent. And we can only wish on this album that there would have been more duets with the late great Luther Vandross. Two Ships Passing in the Night is a song penned by Dionne Warwick, and she has every talent. Let me just tell you, this woman is sublime. I've always loved Dionne, but because I do these videos, I do in-depth research, and I've seen some of her concerts, which you can watch on YouTube, and I mean, she is elegance personified, she is intelligence personified, she is beauty, glamour, she's got everything, and legs up to here. She's magnificent. And this song, she puts in everything that she loves. Kind of sounds like it could have been written by Bacharach and David, but without it ever being something that's copied or borrowed. But it just sounds like it could have been written. You think that she's taken everything in, and you have a little bit of those trumpets that go dun dun dun, which reminds you of Can't Hide Love, which is one of her signature songs from Earth, Wind and Fire. And you can tell that she kind of thought, you know, if I'm gonna write something, what would the best writers do? And it's just absolutely beautiful. Again, Missed Love, Two Ships Passing in the Night. Is that a metaphor for, you know, a love that's missed? I mean, you know, my partner, which you saw when I was filming it in the Canary Islands, we met 28 years ago, and it just didn't work out, and it worked out now, which is 23 years later. We've been together now for 5 years. Now, was that ever two ships passing in the nightclub? But anyway, that's another story. I Can Let Go Now, Michael McDonald, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful song. And this version is surpasses the original. Dionne sings, and there's something there's the lump in her throat. You know, when you're about to cry, except when it's Miss Warwick, it sounds amazing. I mean, if you did it or I did it, it would sound terrible. So again, the love that, you know, appreciation of the fact that love is gone. And it's some of the hardest things to sing. You know, it's easy to sing, I'm in love, I'm happy, I feel love. But this is so difficult because there's so much melancholy. Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow is a hit from the 60s by the Shirelles, and the Shirelles sing on that song. And this song reflects on everything. It's the past. Dionne Warwick begins by saying that she'll never forget her friends, and these women, you know, that were a girl group. It just brings you back to these early days where these girls were making history but had no idea. I mean, who would have thought that Doja Cat, who's singing, you know, I said what I said, I'd rather be famous instead, she'd be singing and sampling Walk On By today. And it's the, you know, the hit of hits. And Dionne is so powerful that kids, you know, think that song is the top, but also people like me, 26-year-olds. So it is a magnificent way of finishing this beautiful album, stunning from cover to cover. Look how gorgeous Dionne Warwick is in that beautiful stole, and just looking absolutely amazing. The back cover also, where she's having breakfast, and that stunning Egyptian profile of hers with those cheekbones. I mean, she's the top. But that's another story and another album. See you next week. Bye bye.